Everyone is talking about AI agents, the systems that don't just answer a question, they go and do the thing. Book the travel, file the code, run the whole workflow while you're in a meeting. But almost nobody is asking the obvious questions sitting underneath all of it. When an agent actually does something, when it takes a real action in a real system on your behalf, what is it standing on? Because an agent that acts needs something a chatbot never did. It needs memory to know what happened a step ago. It needs tools it's allowed to reach. It needs a way to take a step, check the result, and take the next one without losing the thread. That something is quietly becoming an operating system, not for people, for the agents. This is the control room, where we watch the systems shift underneath the headlines, without the hype or the fear. Today, the layer the entire agent boom is quietly being built on at the calm. And who is racing to own it? Start with what a chatbot needed, because it's almost nothing. A model and a text box. You typed, it answered, and the exchange was over. You did whatever came next yourself. Now here's what an agent needs to actually do the work instead of you. It needs memory. A record of what happened a step ago, so it isn't starting from zero on every request. It needs tools. The calendar, the database, the deploy button, the real things it can reach out and touch. It needs permission, a hard line between what it's allowed to do and what it isn't. Because a system that can also act wrongly, and at machine speed. It needs orchestration, a way to run a plan across many steps in order and recover when one of those steps fails partway through. And it needs monitoring, a record of what it did and why, so a human can check the work and decide whether to trust it. Engineers have started giving that whole bundle a name. An agentic operating system. A stack of layers that lets an agent run a process from start to finish, the way an operating system lets any program run on any machine, without the program having to reinvent the computer. A chatbot ran on almost nothing. An agent runs on an operating system we are only now building, and most people have never heard the term. And the companies that already own platforms can see exactly where this goes. At its 2026 developer conference, Microsoft said it about as plainly as a company ever says anything. It is making Windows an agent-native runtime, building the machinery for agents to run directly into the operating system a billion people already use every day. Not a chatbot bolted on top, the runtime itself. Its new building block even has a name most people will never hear. Execution containers that let an agent act on your machine inside limits the operating system itself enforces. And Microsoft isn't alone. Salesforce calls its version Agentforce. Microsoft has Copilot Studio. Adobe built an agent orchestrator. Different names, but the same idea underneath. Sell not a single agent, but the whole stack wrapped around it. The orchestrator that runs the plan, the gateway to the models, the monitoring, the guardrails, the builder, the connections out to everything else you use. The thing an agent boots from. Own the whole floor, not one room on it. Underneath all the noise about which model scores highest this month, the market is quietly changing what it sells, from applications to the operating stack those applications run on. And that shift simply follows the money which already moved. By one set of 2026 cost reports, roughly 72% of what enterprises now spend running AI sits outside the model bill entirely, in exactly these layers. The orchestration, the retrieval, the monitoring that makes an agent safe to trust. The value isn't in the answer anymore. It's in the floor the agents stand on. It's worth being clear about how big a prize this is, because the last two eras of computing were each won by the same move. Not by the best application, but by whoever owned the operating system the applications ran on. Windows, then iOS. Whoever owned that floor collected a toll from everyone who built on top of it for a decade or more, and got to set the rules of the whole marketplace. Every app store cut, every platform fee, every default setting that quietly steered a billion choices. That was the quiet power of owning the floor, not the app. The agent era is starting to take that same shape. Gartner's estimate is that 40% of enterprise software will have a task-specific agent inside it by the end of this year, up from under 5% the year before. That is one of the steepest adoption curves enterprise software has ever produced, and every single one of those agents needs a floor to run on. Memory, permissions, orchestration, all of it. So the company that ends up owning that floor isn't building a better chatbot or even a better agent. It's building the operating system for an entire new category of software, the layer everyone else will have to pass through to get anything done. And it's doing it right now in public, mostly under product names that never once say the words operating system out loud. If you want the shift underneath the headlines every week, subscribe. The Control Room, The Signal, every week. Now the honest part, because this is a flag planted ahead of the market, not a finished story. Calling this an operating system today is partly a bet. There is no crowned winner. There is no clean market you can put a number on. And anyone who hands you a market size for AI operating systems is guessing, so we won't put one on screen. And several very different things are all wearing the same label right now. A desktop runtime from one company, a cloud platform from another, an open source framework from a third. They are not the same thing. They don't fit together, and only some of them will still be standing in 5 years. You cannot go buy the AI operating system today because there isn't one. There are a dozen bets, each one convinced it will become the standard that everyone else is forced to build on. The ground under all of this is genuinely shaky. Gartner expects more than 40% of agentic AI projects to be canceled by the end of 2027. Killed by cost, by value nobody could pin down, or by the controls it takes to run them safely. The floor is being poured while people are still falling through it. And some of the companies planting a flag in this ground today will be footnotes by the time the standard actually settles. That is simply what the inside of an early platform fight looks like, every time. But that is exactly when a pattern is worth naming, before it has a winner, while it's still just a shape in the noise. An operating system for AI is being built. The question isn't whether, it's who, and what they'll be able to charge once everything runs on it. For 3 years, we asked which AI was the smartest. That was always the wrong question to own. The era won't belong to the cleverest model or the flashiest agent. Those get copied and commoditized within months. It'll belong to whoever owns the floor those agents stand on. The operating system almost nobody is calling an operating system yet. When it finally arrives, when everything you use runs an agent, and every agent runs on the same handful of stacks, the question stops being which AI is smartest. It becomes a quieter one, and a much more valuable one. Whose system is everything running on? This is the control room. Here is the pattern. The implications are yours. One last thing, on purpose. The voice you've heard is AI. The images are AI-generated or open-licensed, with real company logos and press images shown for identification. Every figure was researched and checked by a human, and every source is named in the description. The control room, the signal, every week.